I'm delighted to welcome today Verna Haywood, who has created the brand Unstoppable Life. Welcome, Verna.
Thank you very much, Elaine, for having me.
Most welcome. It's a lovely name, Verna. Verna Haywood sounds like a film star, and you look like a film star. I have to say, those who are on audio won't be able to see you, but you look stunning.
Thank you very much. Yes, the name Verna means spring green.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, so spring is life, and I often say life is me.
Right.
So you spring back, spring is all about growth, refreshing, revitalizing, renewing. So,
Mm.
yeah, so you're constant, you're moving constantly, you're not stopping. And that's why I guess the name Unstoppable came from because no matter what happened, you're springing back, you keep moving, you're going forward constantly.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So, Unstoppable Life. Is your life unstoppable? What's happened in your life to get you to this point?
Yes, my life has been unstoppable. I started from when I was about five. I think it started before that, but I know from 5 years old. I was molested by close family members, and then uh, that went on. And when I was about 8 years old, penetration started. That went on into my teens and into my adult life. And then I thought I was moving from the frying pan and going to be secured by moving, being sent to be with my mom. But I soon found out I fell straight into the fire. Um, so after leaving home, leaving school, and everything like that, I then got married, and it was even, propelled because I've been single for such a long time and being in church choir, worship leader in the choir. Met this guy in church who wanted to get married, got to know him, thought it was love, but then I soon found out when we got married that it was just domination. And being in the army, of course, he had tricks up his sleeve that I couldn't fight him or anything like that. So it was just total abuse. And it came to the point where it was, okay, live or die. And I decided I was not going to die. I was going to live. Because when he met me with everything. He didn't have to give me anything. He didn't have to bring anything. And for once, I wish I had listened to my grandmother who said, never put a man in a house.
Mm.
And of course, he came into my home and lived with me and then took it over so it was his. So I was always a person of faith because I learned from very young. When I spoke about what was happening to me, the adults wouldn't believe and they would say, shut up. And no, that's not happening. And it's what the shame is going to be on the family. So I never had someone that said, I love you. So for me, when going to Sunday school, when I would read and we would sing the song, Jesus loved me, this I know, for the Bible told me so, that was my thing, that Jesus loved me. Doesn't matter who didn't love me, Jesus loved me. And he was going to be there for me and he was going to protect me. And I remember as a very young girl, quite small, my great grandaunt who I grew up with, um, she used to take the Bible in the morning. She had a brown tattered Bible, and she would take the Bible and she would open it to Judges. My second name is Deborah. So she used to take it and she would go into the scripture of Judges and she would pronounce my name. In those days, the Bible was in syllabus. So she would pronounce the Deborah. Your name is Deborah, not Deborah, not Debbie, not any, it's Deborah. So make sure when you're telling people you pronounce it Deborah. So I grew up knowing that. And then she used to say, you are strong and you are courageous. And that's how I guess I built up all of that because I guess when it first happened, I think I was with my godmother. My mom had left me with my godmother, and my godmother left me with someone to go to the shops. And she just got back in time when this person was about to do whatever they were going to do with me. therefore they took me from my godmother and took me to my great grandaunt. And when I was about 5, they then took me from my great grandaunt and took me back to the country, not too far from when the first episode was about to take place. And so one of the reasons they gave from taking me from my godmother, well, from my great grandaunt, was that she used to tie me to a table. But she used to do that not for um, being brutal or anything like that. I was a little girl who ran away and play with the boys. So I play with the boys. I fly kite, I climb trees, I play marbles, I do all those things. And she having to run behind a little girl to find her was not something. So for my own protection, she put me where she could see me, especially when she was ironing, because I used to run away when she was ironing. So she knew that, so she would make sure I was close to her, and my auntie saw that, but probably never asked any question, just took upon herself that, she was being cruel, but actually she wasn't. Uh, yes, so that's what made my life unstoppable.
Wow. So you're speaking about all of that as though it was just like, oh well, hey ho, this happened. Um, obviously you've well, I say obviously, it seems as though you have disassociated yourself with the emotional attachment that a lot of people would carry with them. They would carry this baggage with them, and oh, poor me, and so on. So, what is it about you that's what have you done so that you can look back? You say about a woman of faith and Jesus loves you and all the rest of it, which is fabulous. But there's something else. I'm sure there's something else. What is it?
Yeah, there is. I for a long time I wouldn't speak about it. For a long time I buried it because I didn't want to know. I didn't want to remember because that was a horrible time. And no one should have to go through that, especially with close people who should love you and look after you and take care of you. And when you have a husband, he should, you're married for better, for worse, and they say they love you. But that better for us is not to go 6 feet deep. I'm sorry. Um, so for a long time, I wouldn't talk about any of it. I buried it, and you know, being somebody who have studied and then had a good job, then became a manager of a spa. Even so, more so, you don't want anybody to know you have secrets in your closet because people can use that against you. I guess that's one of the reasons why I never wrote a diary because I didn't want anybody to steal my diary and use that against me because I did say to my husband before we got married, these are the things that has happened to me. And I wanted him to know that because I knew sex was going to be a problem. And if you behave in a certain manner, there will be a trigger. If you use certain words, there will be a trigger. And that will just shut me down for I don't know how long. So I wanted him to be aware of that before we got married. And he said that was not going to be an issue, but it was used against me later on. So what I did was just buried everything, but I always knew that I wanted to work with people. I wanted to see people well and in their homes. Um, I wanted to become a matron because my sister was a nurse, and I wanted to follow in her footsteps because she was like my hero. She was the first Black nurse in Holland. And when I saw her, bright, dark girl among all these white girls, you know, big smile, white teeth, and I thought, I'm going to be just like her. But I soon found out I couldn't stand blood.
Mm.
So one of the things that I did eventually was said to my brother in 2002, this is what has happened. I was able now to speak to him about it. I wasn't crying anymore. I had come to terms with it because I dealt with it because I thought I could not carry this on forever. And I knew I had a gift. I knew I had something to bring. And in order to do that, I had to deal with the situation. I had to deal with what has happened. So forgiveness was something that I had to work on, forgiving. And when we talk about forgiving, it's about ourselves. When we forgive others, it's for our own
Mm-hmm.
self, it's for our own life, it's for our own um, going forward, is our own virtue.
Mm.
We're not just doing it for that person, but we're doing it for ourselves so that we could move forward. Otherwise, you're going to be carrying on this big, heavy cloak, which you don't really need. So it's about going into the closet, looking in the closet, like you have your clothes, what is fitting me, what is not. What can I take something from and learn, and what do I need to throw away? So although those things that's happened, there are some things that you can say is a mistake, is a whatever, but there is a lesson. So not everybody is your friend. Not everything that has happened to you is good, but everything that has happened to you is a lesson. It's something you can take from. So when I began to said what was happening to my brother, and I said, I have always wanted to be an inspirational speaker, somebody that motivates people. He said, do you know you would have to speak about this? Do you know you'd have to speak your truth and not hide anything? I said, yes. He said, okay, that's it. Go ahead. So then I said, no, I can't just go ahead. I have to speak to my elder sister. I have to let her know what has happened because I don't want to offend anyone. And he said, you don't need permission from anyone. And I said, yes, I do need to. I may not need permission, but I need to speak with her. And therefore, they live in the Caribbean and I'm here. So we had a three-way conversation and I told her. And then she just started crying about it. Why didn't I say something? I said, well, nobody believed. And I didn't think saying anything was going to hurt, going to do anything. And then she said, all these years, how did you cope? Did you see a counselor? No. Who did you see? Did you see a psychiatrist? No. I was mad. If I was mad, then I suppose if I was talking about it more, then I would end up in the sanatorium. And I had no intentions of ending up in a sanatorium. I was working there and I was not going to be a patient there. So she said, what did you do? I said, I dealt with it internally, and the word of God was my stronghold. So I would speak words. So words are very important. The words we speak, they can build you and they can break you down. So you don't wait for somebody else to speak those words into your life. You start speaking words that is going to really help you to control your mind, control your thoughts, because you cannot allow your subconscious to rule your conscious. Otherwise, anxiety, depression, and all of that. But when it came to a head was Mother's Day in 2020. Of course, I've been busy constantly. And 2020, what happened? We had everything shut down, and I'm at home. And I'm in this room, this very room. And I suddenly thought, oh my God, nobody to say Happy Mother's Day to, because my mom has been missing for over 38 years. And then I had lost two children, one at 6 months, one at 6.5. So I would have had a son and a daughter. And I just started crying. For the first time, the floods of tears just let loose. So, and that's when I became bolder. That's when, even though I spoke to my brother in 2001 that this is what I want to do, I still hadn't spoken about it. I still kept it under the carpet because I didn't want anybody to know. But because I had staff, if something happened, I always use myself and I said, as an example, to say, you can do this. This is what I have been through. And if I've been through that and come through it, you can go through this. Whatever it is they were going through. For example, I had a member of staff who lost her dad through suicide. She lost her uncle through suicide and another family member through suicide. And she was heading in a direction where she herself was probably not going to be thinking straight. And I said, hey, you need to pull yourself back and you need to think about, you have a son and you need to be here for your son. So there are some people you need to let go in your life. You need to surround yourself with the right people. And I suppose that's what's one of the things. I surrounded myself with a group of people that would be there for me, that will be there to help and support me. And I think that's key. You have a good group, they're just some friends you have to let go. People come in your life for a season. And when that season is over, let go. Because then somebody else is going to come in your life for another season. And some people are in your life forever. So you have to learn to wait up and not be too scared to say, if I let this person go, they would never speak to me. That's okay. That's okay. And that's
Yeah.
what I did.
And it's healthy, isn't it? And you mentioned earlier on about forgiveness. Um, when we forgive, it's like a weight's lifted
Yeah.
off, isn't it? I had
Yeah.
something happen to me some years ago. I was strangled and left for dead, and it took me a while,
Wow.
but
Yeah.
I forgave the person in my mind, and I expressed the words to myself,
Yeah.
and then years later I met that person who was
Mhm.
extremely sorry, and all the rest of it, in public,
Yeah.
and I said, please, I forgave you years ago. And if people were like, what do you mean?
Mhm.
I forgave him. And
Yeah.
I said, yeah, I said, I forgave you, not because you deserve it, but because I'm worth it. I'm not,
Yes.
I wasn't carrying that round. So
Mhm.
absolutely identify with what you're saying. But
Mhm.
you also slipped in there about children. So you lost two children as well as all
Yeah.
the stuff that you had.
Yeah. Yeah. I would have had uh, my son would have probably be in his 30s, and my daughter would have been her early 30s. So, so I look very young, but I'm not as young as most people think. And
Gosh.
and it's because you have to have that good nature and you have to have a good heart. And when you have that, you have everything. So if somebody asked me what is success, to other people it would be having millions.
Mm.
Yes, having money is good because it gives you the comfort. It helps you to be able to do things, help other people travel, do all of that. And yes, I want all of that. But most importantly is being content. Because when you have that, when you are content and you are happy in your skin and you're happy with yourself and you have been able, I mean, only a couple days ago, uh, I'm going to digress. Only a couple days ago, I had to truly ask myself, have I forgiven my mom? And have I forgiven my dad? And I stood there and I said, I forgive you, mom. I forgive you, dad. Whatever it is, whatever has happened, because I never heard mommy said, I love you. If I was to hug my mom, she said, I remember kissing her once and she said, a kiss betrayed Christ, and she wiped her face. Like, I mean, I'm smiling now, but
Mm.
at that time I was not smiling
Yes.
because I
Yeah.
could see other people hugging her, kissing her, and she was embracing it. But when I did it, it was not okay.
Mm.
So yeah, so I mean, I guess there is another backstory to that because then later on in life, I then found out we were. She called. I was reading a book. I love reading at the time, and I was reading Mills and Boons, and she said, "You reading how to learn to make love?" And I said, "Making love is something that comes naturally. You don't have to learn to read to do that." My word, Elaine, the slap I got across my face. I had to hold my glasses from falling because to her that was rudeness. That was disrespectful. And and so you learn very when I heard my cousins calling their mom by their first name, I decided to call her by her first name. Again, that was a no. So I learned very early. There was an I. She used to give you an I and you knew.
Mm.
Mm-mm,
Yeah,
don't cross.
the
Yes.
look. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
where were you brought up, Verna? What country were you brought up in?
I was brought up in the Caribbean. I was born in Grenada and I grew up in Trinidad. Yeah, so I grew up, I went to live with my mom when I was in my early teens. So everything that I learned from my grandmother and my great grandaunt. So by the time I got to my mom, you could well say that I had respect, I had all of that because I learned how to, I learned how to cope. And if I had to survive, I guess I would survive, because when certain things were happening to me, when I was living with my grandmother, I felt I had enough and I ran away and went back to my great grandaunt because I always remember how she looked after me, how she cared for me, how she protected me. And if I had to run away to anyone, it was go back to her. And that's what I did. I ran away when I was about 11, 12. I think I did 11 plus or whatever I did. And my grandmother said something, and that one word she said was, okay, I've had it now. And I just packed a few things in that funny enough. I packed a few things in a 5 roses bag, which is a paper bag, like Morrison's will give you one of those
Yeah.
paper bags. I packed a few things. My passport was always one of the first things I took. My passport and my birth certificate. I packed those, and I asked a neighbor for $5, and I took the bus and went down to St. George's. When I came to the UK, was with £100 in a suitcase. So yeah, and
Wow.
start my life all over again.
When did you come to the UK?
I came to the UK in the 90s. Yeah,
And why
and
did you choose the UK?
I chose the UK because it was the furthest away from my previous husband. Because I needed to put distance. Um, because I feared wherever, if I go to the States, because I had an aunt and an uncle in London, and I had an aunt in New York. And I knew he had family in New York. And I thought if I go to New York is easy. It's just a couple hours flight. The UK is 9 hours. It's a further place for him to come. And yes, and he must not know where I am. He knew I was coming. Um, yeah, he went to the airport with me and everything. And then he said, "You're not coming back." I said, "What made you think so?" He said, "You're not coming." I said, "Why would you say that? I haven't taken anything to give you an indication that I'm not coming back. So I am coming back. I still had my job in the hospital. So I am coming back." And then I decided, no, because once you leave and you go back, you don't get a second chance. And I wasn't willing to put my life at risk. So when he said that he wanted us to get back together, one of his friends messaged me to say he's planning to come to the UK. And when he comes, don't meet him anywhere. Wherever he asks you to meet him, don't do it. Don't go. And I said, why? He said, don't, I'm telling you, don't go. Wherever he asks you to meet him, don't go. So she pre-warned me about that I shouldn't meet him anywhere at all. And so when he said he was coming, I said, fine. But he didn't come. And then he said, oh, I want us to get back together. So I said, okay, if you want us to get back together, you'll have to date me from afar. And he said, date you? I said, yes. Date me from afar over my dead body. So I said, okay. Okay. And I've never laid my eyes on him again. Only recently, I think I was speaking to a friend a couple months ago, and she said, oh, did you know he passed away? I said, what? She said, you didn't know? I said, no. She said, yes, he passed away. So, yeah. So I've never seen him again.
And
But because he knew where I was, he he knew where I was and he knew the
Yes.
phone number, so he would call. And even though he was so many miles away, when that phone rang,
Mm.
I just had an instinct that it was him. And I would start trembling.
Mm.
I would start trembling. And then the family would say, "Why are you trembling?" Every time that phone rang and you hear it's him, you're trembling because I never told them what happened. And eventually that day I had to say what happened. And then thereafter, when the phone rang, they wouldn't allow me to speak to him because they could see how it was affecting
Mm.
me. And yeah.
So did they not think it was odd that you came over with a suitcase, and you had a job and a life back in the Caribbean, but you didn't go back? Did they? Did you? What did you tell them?
I just said I wanted to further my career. I said we wanted to have because he was thinking of having a travel agency. So we will start a travel agency and have like work with resorts. So I wanted to study travel and tourism, and I did that. So I studied travel and tourism. I then studied, wanted to go back into nursing, but I knew I couldn't stand blood.
Mm.
So I studied therapeutics, so holistic therapies and esthetician. So I did all of that, aromatherapy and all of that. And then my lecturer said to me, "Verna, you have a gift. Go and use your gift," because I wanted to go to university. She said, "No, go use your gift. You have a gift. Go use that gift. And when you finish, if you want to go to university, then go to university, but don't do that now." And I would always attribute where I am today to Celia Yeadon. She was my lecturer at college, Harrogate College. And I then, she said to me, "I want you to take an interview." And I thought, why? And she said, "I want you to take the interview. So get your CV ready and everything, and you'll take the interview." And I thought I was a mature student. I was the only dark person. And I thought, no, I'm not going to get through. So I didn't do the CV, but I went and I did the interview. And then I found out only two out of 10, only two people passed the interview. And I thought, oh, there we go.
Mm.
um, I didn't expect it to be me. I didn't expect one of the two people to be me. And then later, when I found out one of the two people was me. And so I got to go to London and study with Steiner, and then went and worked on cruise liners. And I did that for about 4 contracts or 4 years. I did that before going back to university and
Say that
getting my
again.
degree.
Say that again. You came to London, and you did what?
I came to London and studied with
Steiner.
Steiner Transocean Limited, because they had lots of spas on
Oh, okay, the
over
spas.
and 10 over 110 cruise liners. And
Ah,
so
right, the
yeah,
cruise people.
so
Okay, right.
I then get to work on the Destiny. So when I saw the Destiny, I thought, wow, that's my destiny. Yeah.
Ah.
So I did that. So I traveled most Caribbean islands and up to Canada and New York. When September the 11th happened, we had just left New York and was in the Bahamas when September the 11th happened. My
Wow.
friends and I, we were in the Twin Towers the day
Wow.
before we left. And then to get to Grand Cayman Islands and saw that happened, we were like, oh my gosh, that could
Mhm.
have been us. Yeah.
Yeah, it's scary
So
when that
my
happens, isn't it? Yeah,
yeah.
really scary. I've had a similar situation with a bus that exploded,
Mm.
7-7 in, I can't remember what year it was now, but
Yes,
in
yeah,
London, and I was
London. Yeah, I
standing at that.
remember that.
Yeah, I was standing. I just delivered a training program
Hmm.
in the building there, just around the corner, and I was standing waiting for a taxi by that bus stop where the bus blew up the day
Wow.
before. So
Yeah.
yeah, when you get these things happen, it's like, every day is a blessing, isn't it?
Every day. Yeah. Every day is a blessing. Every day is a new day, it's a new beginning, is new life. And you know you have something here to do. We have You have people to reach, people to touch, because every one of us have a different story, and that story would resonate with different people.
Mm.
So no two person have the same gift. We have different gifts, may have happened, may go through similar things, but different.
Mm.
And so when we come together, when we consolidate and we come together, we can touch so many lives and change so many lives. But what I've come to realize is that people must want to change. They must want that change and must be willing to do the work, because the work is all on the inside of you. And when you are willing and you're ready to go deep within, that's when the cure comes. That's when you can tap in to you and the true you, which is the soul part. The soul is where everything, which is your intuition. And once you can get there, then but you must be willing to do that. You must be willing.
Absolutely. I say that all the time to people that I support with health and well-being. I've become a go-to person for cancer because of my own story of getting through 4 different cancers in stage 4 in 3 months. So I've become kind of got
Wow.
this say label, but people come to me because I've been there, done it, and so on.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as you
Yeah.
say, it has to come. People come to me and I say to them, I can't do it for you. I can guide you. I can tell you what I
Yeah.
did, and I've got all this training now, and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
But you have to do the work, and it has to come from within you. And no
Yeah.
matter what you're eating, how you're living, you could be doing all this wonderful stuff, but if you don't truly believe deep at heart and that you're going to recover, you won't recover. Simple as
Yeah.
that. The deeply held beliefs and the language we use to ourselves, as you mentioned earlier.
Mhm. That is so important. And as you touch on the word believe, it's such an important word, believe. Because if you don't have it, if you don't reach down within you, we talk about affirmations. People can use affirmations, but the affirmation you're using, is that the affirmations for you? Or is that someone else's
Mm.
affirmation you're using?
Yeah.
And that's the key thing. Finding, like, for example, when everything was happening to me, again, I use the word, and it's so important, where the word of God says, I will never leave you nor forsake you. I've carved you in the palm of my hands. Oh my gosh, Elaine, I hooked onto those like they were life,
Mm.
and I would repeat them. You said you would, it's like no, he's my father. You said you would never leave me nor forsake me. You said, and you said I should bring you in remembrance of your word. You said that. So I'm bringing you in remembrance. It's like a father said, or a mother saying to a child, oh, you can't get this toy now, but remind me and I'll get it for you such and such time. Or I'll get it for you when it's convenient to, but remind me. And that's what it is. But it took me a while, even though I knew he was my father, it took me a while to relate to it, because I'm thinking, my father did this. So I'm going to relate to you as a father.
Mm.
So you had to like wait up and then come to the realization that, hey, he lives in me. He says, I am in the Father is in me, and I am in you.
Mm-hmm.
So everything is on the inside. So you
Yeah.
have to do the work. You have to tap in and you have to believe, as
Yeah.
you said. You have
We're
to
all
believe.
we're all one, and everything comes from within. My name is
Yeah.
Godly, but I'm not a religious, churchy person. But I've always believed for years and years and years that God is within us,
Yeah.
and it is. So the conversations. In fact, I've just finished the audio book series, books 1, 2, and 3 of Conversations with God. Highly,
Mm-hmm.
highly recommend it for anybody who's not
Oh,
listened to them. They are absolutely stunning, and it's all about this inner belief and the conversations we have. Lots of religions will call God, Allah, Buddha,
mm-hmm.
whatever names,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
but it's us. We are
It's us.
God. It's within
Mm-hmm.
us, and unless
Yeah.
we have the deeply held belief and the conversations that we have with ourselves, so people
Yeah.
who are who are going through a recovery program for anything, you can't outsource it. You have to have it within you, and you have to give yourself the conversation, the positive talk, because if
Mhm.
you're maybe you're sitting down to a really healthy meal knowing that that's going to do you good because it's nutritious, but if you in your mind you're thinking, oh, I'm going to die next week, or the doctors have told me I've got 2 months to live, or whatever it is, bang on the date, that's what happens, because
That's
they've
what
not helped the deeply belief that they can survive. They're
Mhm.
going on somebody else's words, and
Yeah,
it's horrible. I've seen it
yeah,
happen so many times.
yeah. I mean, I only recently found out because I did my mammogram, and they called me, sent me a letter that they needed me to come to Pool Hospital for another mammogram. And I thought, what's this about? But it's almost as though my body was preparing me for whatever it is. And I went, I did the mammogram. Then I had to do an ultrasound. I did the ultrasound. Then they said, okay, we need to do a biopsy. And then that will go to Dorchester. They will come together and talk about it. And I went a week ago now. Yeah, about a week ago. Almost no, almost 2 weeks now. And then I found out that it was positive cancer cells. Okay. I'm not sure what they was expecting, whether they were expecting me to cry
Mm.
or behave in a manner. Even my husband sat there because I married again, and he sat there and they said, "Do you know why you're here?" I said, "Yes, I believe so." Do you know what is happening? I said, "Well, I had the mammogram. They did the ultrasound. In the ultrasound, when she pressed, I could feel something. It was painful. And I asked the question, what was that? And she said, I'm not happy with what I'm seeing. So I said, okay, okay, I'm in your hands.
Mm.
And then I thought, well, no, I'm in God's hands. And I started speaking the word that I am healed, I am whole. You don't have to see it, but you have to believe it and
Mm.
you have to act it.
Mm-hmm.
And when my husband and other people would say, you have, I said,
Mm.
no, I don't
No,
have anything.
no,
I don't have
yeah,
anything. So don't label me with anything
mm-hmm.
and don't put your thoughts
Yeah,
in my. So, and that's the thing. We have our, because if we don't take care of our subconscious, other people will put that stuff in our
yeah,
subconscious and then we claim it. No, 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 no.
yeah,
No, 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 no. Don't talk like that.
yeah,
I don't have anything. They found it and we're gonna get rid of it. So I don't label me with anything. I don't
mm-hmm.
have anything.
Yeah,
So and that's what you do, and you start speaking the word. The
yeah,
word is so important. So many times we use the wrong language, we
yeah,
use the wrong words, and we say and we blaming other people. No,
yeah,
you have a responsibility. You have to take charge. You cannot leave somebody else. It's like somebody saying, "Oh, has your daughter have mums yet?" And you as a mom, you say, "Oh no, not yet."
yeah,
Okay, so then
yeah,
you're preparing for it. You're
yeah,
preparing for your daughter
mm-hmm.
to have mums.
Yeah,
No, no, she haven't had it, and she's not going to have it.
yeah,
So that and being so firm and being believing that what is coming out of your mouth is what you believe, and you're standing on that.
yeah,
So the word is a lamp unto your feet and a light unto your pathway.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
the words are seeds, and you're planting seeds in the ground. A farmer, if he's planting grape seed, he's not going to go and plant, I don't know, grapefruit
Mm.
because the soil is not prepared for that.
Mm.
If he planted that, he probably would never, he wouldn't get a crop. He wouldn't have anything to sell. But if he plant the right seed, it will flourish, it will grow, and then he have something that he could sell. So it's
Mm.
the same. We tend to like. I would love to listen to your to your audios because it's all about filling yourself with the word.
Mm.
You
It's so
can never have
important.
too much of it.
Yeah, and it's refreshing hearing you talk like this as well, because so many people say, "Oh, I've got this cancer," or "I've got that condition," or if you have something, you're owning it.
Yeah,
if you're owning it, you can't get rid of it. You can't have
No,
it and get rid of it at the same
no,
time. You've either got it
no,
or you haven't. So let's
no,
not have
yeah.
it.
Let's not have it.
You have an unwelcome visitor, perhaps, that, or you're in recovery from something. If
Yeah,
you have to say the word, you're in
yeah,
recovery from, or you're working towards recovery,
yeah.
or something like that. But the words are so, so important.
It's so
So
important. Yeah, it's so important. And that's one of the thing. And I feel that one of the things that I'm getting is to speak about the word, is to tell people that be careful of what you say. And if somebody says something negative, negate it at the same time.
yeah,
Don't dwell on it. Don't posture on it. Don't think about it. Just no. I rebuke that right now. I
yeah,
don't accept that.
yeah,
And it doesn't matter how they feel or how they think. This is about you. This is your life that they are proclaiming something on. So,
yeah,
what do you want your life to be? You know, and you have got it. Is you. The work is yours. It's not theirs. It's
yeah,
yours, and you
absolutely.
have to take control of that.
I have sometimes I actually turn clients down. I've had people phone me from hospital beds asking for my help, and of course I give what help I can give over the telephone. But then you hear the rabble of the family, and they're calling out with this thing and that thing, and I just say, I'm sorry, I can't deal with you.
Yeah,
I can't help you. Well, with all this family stuff, I can help you, but I can't help your family. And if your family are just putting that pressure on you, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Um,
yeah, yeah,
for 2 years I ran I was the Wednesday lady for a charity where people had been newly diagnosed with cancer. So I would
yeah,
take the calls, and I was seeing a pattern after pattern after pattern, of well wishers, well meaning friends putting so much pressure on the individual. When you have a condition of any description, no matter what it's called, your duty is to yourself to help your body to heal. Your body will heal itself if you give it the right
yeah,
environment.
yeah,
If you've got all this chatter going on in your own mind, never mind people around you, and they're imposing their fear on you,
yeah,
you need your energy to deal with your own body. You can't be doing it with anybody else. So I recommend that even in the you might even have to have a conversation in the short term.
mm,
Well, I've guided people to do this, to say, like, I'm sorry, I
yeah,
can't deal with you right at the moment. Let's pick up, when I'm recovered. But at the
yeah,
moment, so I've said disassociate yourself unless you've got positivity around you. Um, Better to have nobody than have
hmm,
negativity.
hmm.
We definitely speak the same language, Verna.
Yeah. It's because Uh, n- before now, I would be anxious that I hadn't answered email, and I just felt, listen, I can't go on the computer for now. I
Yeah,
just need to read. I need to fill my mind.
yeah,
I was listening to audio tapes, getting that into my spirit, and just renewing myself
yeah,
because that's what I need at this point in time. I don't need anything else. So
yeah,
if I can, if I can put that in me, when something comes for me to fight, I have the tools to
yeah,
fight it with. My brother calls me. He said, "How are you?" And then he said, "Oh, you." I said, "No,
mm,
no, 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 no,
yeah,
no, no, no. Change, change, change your words.
yeah,
No." And I started pounding the
mm,
counter.
yeah,
And I said, "I'm really sorry. I'm being aggressive or I'm being strong." He said,
mm,
"No, I wish you would be more like that."
yeah,
And he said, "I understand, sis." So unless you tell them, they don't think that what they're saying, and sometimes they're not aware of what they're
yeah,
saying. So you have got to take control. You have
yeah,
got to say no,
yeah,
categorically no. This is not it. This is how I want you to speak about it. This is what I want you to say.
mm-hmm,
If you want to talk about it and you want to include my name in that, this is how I want you to
mm-hmm,
spoken about
yeah,
it. And that's it.
yeah,
And if you
that's,
can't do that, then stay away from
yeah,
me. And then you now start speaking the word. So no matter whatever negativity someone is saying, however they are speaking about me, it will not come near me.
yeah,
This will not be part of me. I rebuke this right now.
mm-hmm,
And you said something about, even though your name said godly, you're
mm,
not godly. But as you said, God is in us.
mm-hmm,
We are gods. People don't realize
mm,
that and they don't understand that. They're looking for God in the
mm,
sky.
yeah,
No, He is in you. He lives in you. He breathes in you. It don't matter what religion, what custom, whether you refer to it as the universe, the sky, the moon, the sun, whatever. He lives in you. He's on the inside. And you can tell. And all you have to do is follow your intuition.
Yeah.
Intuition is him speaking to you. We talking is we speaking to him.
Yeah.
And that's it. But he's on the inside. He lives and he breathes in you. So we are gods. We are not the Godhead, but we are gods. And when we speak, he said, when we open our mouth, he said, open your mouth and I will fill it with good things. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So we don't speak, we think we speak with our head. No. Thoughts. The thoughts will come, thoughts will go. But when we speak, he said, with the heart, man believes. So we don't believe with our head, we believe with our heart. When we speak out of their heart. So, just,
Exactly. We speak from our heart. Everything is emotional with us, but then
yeah,
when we start thinking and start putting it into logic, that's when we get into
yeah,
trouble. That's when we have this conversation with ourselves. Shall I, shan't I? Is it, isn't it?
yeah.
So, but from the heart, the intuitive emotion, that's the thing. And how many
Yeah,
times do people say, oh, I knew I shouldn't have done that, or I felt this, or my gut told me so and so, or my heart said, whatever it is. Always follow your intuition, and your intuition comes from with inside you, with your
within.
emotions.
Yeah, yeah. And that is where the soul, because if you think about when we get to the soul part, that is the superconscious.
Mm-hmm.
So when the superconscious now, when the subconscious is thinking, I am the ruler, no, the superconscious and the subconscious become one. That's when they have to come together. And then you have your conscious mind. So your conscious mind now is like, okay, this is what I should say. This is what I should do. This is how I should go about it. But when you can't differentiate and you can't bring the two together, you will swallow anything anybody say.
Mm.
But you
Yeah,
have to do the work. You have to do the work.
yeah, absolutely. So,
Yeah.
Unstoppable Life, um, is that name of a, because you've created a podcast, haven't you, and a program?
Yes.
So tell us about those aspects of you now.
Well, the podcast, I created the podcast because I felt that that's how I can get my message across. Funny enough, in 2014, I heard this voice say, start a TV program. And I'm like, I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. I'm not Oprah Winfrey because, she's one of the person that I look at and listen to and everything like that. So I packed that aside because I didn't know anything about it. And then a friend of mine sent me something to listen to, um, another person and think, oh gosh, I can't remember her name right now. And I listened to that and I thought, yeah, but I could do that. But then again, I packed that aside and I just carried on with what I was doing. So the Unstoppable Life podcast is a place where men and women would hear um, conversations that would help to build them, help to build them up in their knowledge and wisdom and get understanding. But also, I want to use that to talk about the words that they speak, the things that they speak over their lives, and also to tell them about the program that I've written, Unstoppable Resilience, 3 Powerful Practices to Take Your Power Back. Because those are the things that I have used: reflect, revitalize, and renew. And by doing that, by reflection, most people don't want to reflect. But as I said, I had to reflect. And in the reflections, that's when you start getting your deposits, and then you know how you're going to move forward. After your reflection, you start revitalizing yourself. So you're looking at the different words, how you're going to be using that. Then come the renewal, because then you feel revived, you have gone through everything, and then you feel that you can do everything now. Nobody can stand in your way. Nobody can stop you from, if somebody was stopping you from wearing a particular color or clothes or whatever, or stop you can't eat certain foods or whatever, you're free. You're free to do whatever you want. And so it's a place to where I could bring other like-minded people to to speak to the audience, and so that they can gain wisdom and know how to live. Also is a place where we can talk about where men and women come together as one. We are not supposed to dominate one
Mm.
another. So I don't dominate you, you don't dominate me. In a relationship, the man don't dominate the woman, nor the woman dominate the man. We were taken from the side, we were taken from a rib to the side. So which means we are side by side, we are connected, we are one. We are not two separate units. When we come together, we come together as one. So men and women have got to understand their roles. We all have roles, we have different roles. And I always say to women, you are not just a I dislike the word homemaker. I tend to say you are the CEO. You are the chief executive officer in the home, because the woman handles everything. Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Works, and the Minister of Health, because she has to do all of that, make sure the family is all knitted together. So when you think of a woman's role, that's a 24/7 job. It's a career. That's a career in
Mm.
itself. Some people want to do that as a career. Other people want to go out and work and help raise the family in a different way. But the man's role is to look after the home, bring that in, and the woman take to all the necessary thing that she needs to do. So we all have different roles. However you choose to do it, that's totally up to you. But it's for us to understand what's the role of the man, what's the role of the woman, and how can we be blended together to become one. And that's how I would like to put that forward and grow the podcast.
Brilliant. And so your program then, um, the Unstoppable Resilience. How do people get hold of you, Verna? How can people find out more about this program and
The
perhaps?
program at the moment, it's on Kajabi, so I'm going to get that. But what I'd like people to do is to have a one-to-one with me, because then that will the program, they have access to it for a lifetime, and then we can have a group whereby we can have a group together. They will have one-to-one connections with me. So I have the program and then I have my coaching as well. But I think when you have a one-to-one, then I can understand your needs. I can understand how we can work together, whether I am the right fit for you. So I don't just want people to go and take the course just like that. I'd like to have a conversation with them first. So they can reach me at hello@vernahaywood.com. I can also give them my Calendly link, so that they can book a session with me, and then we can have a conversation, and then we move on from there.
For the benefit of the those listening on audio that can't see your name written on the screen here, can you spell your name so that they can find you?
Okay, my name is Verna, which is Verna, and Haywood is Haywood. So to reach me on my email is hello at Verna, VERNAHAYWWD, all one word, .com. They can reach me there. You can also find me on Facebook, and on Twitter and on LinkedIn. And I was hacked, but my Instagram was hacked. So don't go, you will notice, you'll probably see Verna underscore Harry. Don't go there, because the person who hacked my Instagram, they have control of that. But you will see another Instagram under the name Verna Haywood underscore, and that will be me.
Okay, this technology that we have to contend with now, I don't know, it's helpful, but also it can be a bit of a struggle as well. So,
Yeah.
Verna Haywood, it's been lovely speaking with you. I've really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you so much, and I wish you well in your own next few months that you need to get through.
Yes, thank you very much. It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me, and I'm really glad I got to know you. So I want to get your audio so I can fill my mind and my spirit and my soul with with listening to the audio. It's good to go to bed with it and wake up with it. So like, yeah, I do that.
Marvellous. Every day's a blessing. Take care,
It
Verna.
is. Take care. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.